Hello, it's Philip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers in London. I'm doing a short video review today of a book from Edward Elgar. We've reviewed a lot of books in their series of publications. This one's actually a textbook. The book is Essential European Union Climate Law, and it's been edited by a number of people: Edwin Verdman, Martha Roggenkamp and Maringe Holwerder. I hope I pronounced the names correctly. My apologies in advance. This is another first-class textbook from Edward Elgar, and we're delighted to review it. Our reviews are on the web and in the journals. We tend to give them quite a high star rating, as we don't review books that are we consider not really very helpful to us as either practitioners, commentators or researchers. This book, though, is very much a standard fare work, if you like. There's the front page, nice green cover, greenish cover anyway. There's the spine. It's a paperback, and then there's the back. You can see there's quite a lot of information on the back. Most of the review I've got will refer to the basic marketing material, but I'm going to give you some more information. That's the index as well. In addition to that, we've got the actual front page there, which you can see, three people, all actually from the Netherlands, I hasten to add. There's an in brief set of contents, so you can see the purpose of the book. So it's in basically four parts: introduction, essential EU climate law, overarching issues in EU climate regulation, and a conclusion. And then from that you get a much more detailed structure there, which goes into a lot more detail, which I'll just run through. Then you have some various little figures, and you have the detailed list of contributors, a large number of people involved in this. I can't thank them in any more detail than just to say thank you by showing the names there. Then there's an important preface to actually look at, and it says here, EU climate law is one of the most dynamic and fastest growing areas of EU law. And then it refers to the Groningen Centre of Energy Law taking the initiative to prepare this textbook, because this is probably one of a number of books which are going to start appearing on a regular basis, I would think. And it's good to see Elgar taking a lead. There's the abbreviations section, which I think is very helpful. There are a lot of abbreviations in this area. Then the table of cases, and then you've got legal instruments and statutes and so forth. Then after that you get into the book itself. The introduction, purpose, approach and outline of the book. Again, there's some repetition there of what has already been said, but it does set the scene. It's easy to read, and I thought this book was of great help. You do have a structure here of paragraph numbering, and you have footnoting as well, which is also quite useful to see. The actual index, though, at the back is based on page numbering, so just in case there's any confusion about the structure. But you do also have quite a lot of useful bullet points throughout to set out exactly what the purpose of the book is. Then you get towards the end of each chapter an acknowledgement section, which also helps. Now that's the actual textbook itself, and this is really what we say about it. We say that, of course, European Union climate law is, of course, as indicated at least 2 or 3 times in the text, dynamic and fast growing, which of course it is. And I think this is an exciting new textbook because it provides a comprehensive account of essential European Union climate mitigation law itself. In addition, the content covers a number of important and topical issues related to the European Union's efforts to tackle climate change. And there are still people who deny there's any effect at all, but the point that does emerge is that whether that is right or wrong, there is an issue which is perceived to be something that we need to have a textbook on, and that's why we've got this. It's been written by, edited by 3 people, Edwin, Martha and Maringe, if I pronounce the names correctly. I'm not going to try to pronounce the surnames. But what they've done is they have brought together a load of contributors who are the key thinkers on EU climate law from the University of Groningen, and it is actually an innovative textbook. It's taking a broad approach to climate law, and it presents all available legal instruments to combat climate change set out, so at least you've got some idea of the direction we're going in. It covers things like greenhouse gas emissions, trading to the use of renewable energy sources and energy efficiency mechanisms. And of course the point I would make is that with renewable energy sources, again there's a great deal of work in that area in view of some of the problems we've been having with withdrawals of subsidies and so forth. That's more political than legal, but it does overlap a little bit so that we've got some idea of where we're going with any issues concerning climate change and in fact the availability of energy, because at the bottom of this it's actually about energy. So after providing a definition of climate law itself, the text then goes on to look at the main climate targets and instruments used by the European Union. The impact, of course, is then looked at on energy network management, competitiveness and multi-level governance, which is also covered. Each of the chapters, and we'll have another quick look at the end of this review, each of the chapters addresses the relevant directives and regulations, including their implementation, the issues of how we actually go about dealing with this. And it also explains how it affects current policy and what the academic debates currently are. And the chapters therefore not only describe but also critically reflect on EU climate law, which is interesting, bearing in mind we are going to have a referendum in the United Kingdom on our membership of the EU, and so therefore this is one area which I'm sure will have be of some interest, notwithstanding the main bit being possibly about economics and about migration issues. So you can see how it is again very much a leading participating issue in the overall debate we're going to have in the United Kingdom. The key features which are listed, I'm just going to run through, are a comprehensive introduction to the European Union climate mitigation law itself. Notice the words there, climate mitigation law. Mitigation being points in mitigation, in other words, how we're actually going to understand and some of the reasons which have to be taken into account when we're looking at how we develop law in this area, because it is really about energy policy, if I can be as blunt as that. Secondly, it deals with a discussion of climate targets and instruments of the European Union, a review of the relevant climate related directives and regulations, which I've mentioned before, an analysis of implementation, relationship between this area of law and broader issues such as energy law, and the educational design based on reviews by climate law students, which I think is important for the new generation of people coming forward who will be involved in this sort of type of field, legal field, as we go towards the middle of the century. Let me conclude by saying finally that the combination of the educational design, as it's called, and the analytical accuracy makes the textbook suitable for both students and professionals. And as usual, we think Edward Elgar are offering us the very best in legal research materials, both for students, the dedicated researcher, and anybody who is seeking high quality publications for their researches. That's what you're getting with Edward Elgar, and I'd like to thank all of them very much for continuing to provide us with such a good service. We couldn't really do our jobs as practitioners without having this information, and it's very good to see that they are leaders very much in providing this material for us and making our lives so much easier. So thank you very much to the publishing house. This introduction, in my view, is highly recommended for courses on European Union climate mitigation law, and it also should be used, I think, in the broader context of a curricula on climate law, energy law and EU law in general, because that's what you're getting here. I'm very grateful to the three editors. I'm not going to mention your names again, there they are. And let me just remind you of who else is involved in this, because there are a lot of people who've been involved in this book, and it is important to know the names of the individuals so you've got some idea who's actually been involved. There they are there. There are not many names that I am familiar with, but you can see there are a large number of people. And do, as I say, always read the preface, because that will give you an idea of in fact what this book is about. And can I just say that most of what I've said in the review is contained in some way or other within the book itself anyway. That's the back of the book, and then if we just open it, I'm just going to open it in the middle. This is on carbon capture and storage. And again, you can see the structure, a lot of detail, a lot of referencing, and very useful footnoting as well. Thank you. A big thank you to Elgar and to all of the people involved in this. I would think we're going to have new editions of this book in the not too distant future. So let's watch this space and see where we go from here. Thank you to all. Bye-bye.